I hereby convene the Westchester Township Trustee meeting, July 9th, 2013. Mr. Jones, roll call.
Mr. Wong?
Present.
Mrs. Stoker?
Here.
Mr. Lang?
Here.
Please arise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is citizens' comment. We have two persons signed up tonight. Mr. David Brown of Butler County Auditor's Office. Please come forward. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate the time to be here for the Butler County Auditor's Office as part of our local outreach to local governments. A couple of items I wanted to touch base with tonight. Our forfeited land sale is going to be later this month on July the 24th at 9 o'clock in the morning at the Government Services Center. Those are properties that have already gone through 2 sheriff sales, were not purchased. Then they come to our office to sell them for the taxes. If they don't sell for the taxes, we offer them right back out again for as little as $1. So there's about 96 properties out there right now. The total list is on the Butler County Auditor website. And there's also sign up there as well to begin the process of those that wanted to pre-register. They could do that online. No properties in Westchester, predominantly the properties in Middletown and Hamilton. But there are some properties that are out there, and ever so often you get into a bidding war with a couple of properties that people seem to think might be worth turning around. So some of those do bring more than the taxes at that point. The Butler County Fair is coming up July the 21st through July the 26th. We'll have a tent out there. I believe we're sharing with the Recorder's Office. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We'll be there. We'll be offering up dog tags for sale, penalty-free for those that might have missed their opportunity to do that by January 31st. They can do it now during the fair for just the regular $14 fee, not the additional $14 penalty. We'll waive that during the fair time. Tax bills are being sent out, have already been arriving at a lot of people's residences from the Treasurer's Office, but we get a lot of comments about that, so we just wanted to let people know the Treasurer's Office is where the taxes are paid, and that due date is August the 2nd for real estate, July the 31st for manufactured home taxes. So we just wanted to be able to bring that to people's attention. The county financial reports are completed, and those are up on our website as well. We do a comprehensive annual financial report yearly for the Government Finance Officers Association, and also a popular annual financial report, which is only about 16 pages. Pretty easy to read for folks that don't have a background in finance. That's a good way to just check out kind of how the county's doing, the debt, various things, expenses, and that's for the year in 2012. And that's, again, everything pretty much is links available from the front page of our website. That was it. I think I made 2
Thank you,
minutes.
Mr. Brown.
Thanks, you. Appreciate it.
Next, we have Mr. Dieter Luberg of Westchester. Please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name is Dieter Luberg. I live in 7573 Granby Way. I've been living here almost 10 years in Westchester. I still like it, but I have a few things which I like to introduce. I just got back from the city of brotherly love, and everybody knows that city. When I always visit parks, because I'm a very environment-friendly person, so I always respect Mother Nature. And so when I observe different places in different states, I like to tell Westchester about it. First of all, in Philadelphia, one of the first things I noticed, they had a new skateboard park for the children. Seemed to be the biggest hit in that town, especially since when I noticed in Keener Park, the kids usually go by the outdoor theater and use that as a skateboard, and I think maybe we can do better and do something special next to the tennis court and have a little place where they have their own little park. Then on the picnic area, I think we could use maybe like the golf courses where Rumpke provides recycling cans where a small hole is in, where they put cans and bottles in. Maybe we could put some of them out at certain picnic areas. That would be very helpful. Then for the police department in Westchester, especially in the summertime. I like to see you guys in some of the neighborhood. Since I'm an ex-police officer myself in a different country, we always showed our faces as a friend and a helper to let the community know that we are not the bad guy always giving out tickets. So, especially in the summertime, kids like to see the police in certain neighborhoods. I haven't seen it much this summer. And I do have to say, Mr. Lee Wong, finally at Metro Park, we finally see a little light in the tunnel. They're starting with a bicycle trail. It took many years to get going. But I'm a little concerned about Metro Park. I don't think the general manager really doesn't know what's going on because too many people changing hands there. People come and go. And I'm worried about with all these new soccer fields, they're going to be in trouble because they don't have the power, the people, how to do it right. Where Westchester Township maintenance people, I have to give them credit. They're doing an excellent job. Even I think there's a lot of grass cutting, which sometimes we could make maybe more oases instead of cutting all that grass. So we could cut down a little bit and do other work, which is just as important for the environment than anything else. Outside of that, one time.
You can speak again afterwards.
Tylersville and Kingsgate. I like to see cameras there because there are constantly people crossing the red light. I don't mind seeing lights there so we catch these people who are always crossing the highway, and the safety is very bad.
Thank you this time.
Okay.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
all.
Luber. Appreciate it. All right. Let's move on to presentation. Do we have any?
No.
Action item. I will entertain a motion for item A, motion to approve trustee meeting minutes.
I'll move that we approve trustee meeting minutes dated June 25th as handed out by Mr. Jones to all of us. We all had some recommendations and he captured all of them.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Discussion? With all the additions already in.
That is correct.
Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion for to approve payment of bills.
Also move.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Ms. Boyko, requisitions greater than $2,500.
Police Department, Roy Taylor's Uniform Company to purchase bulletproof vests in the amount of $7,500. 50% of this is reimbursed by the Bulletproof Vest Grant. Item 2, services, $81,765 to Rush Truck Center to purchase the 2014 International Cab and Chassis. In order to preserve our maintenance fleet and effectuate the greatest return on those purchases, the Township has a kind of a revolving and cycles these fleets into reserves before they become clunkers. And so at this point it is a 1995 fleet vehicle that would be cycled into reserve, and it is the Services Department's request to purchase this International Cab and Chassis. Item 3, services, $48,400 to Kaffenberg Truck Equipment. Should the trustees approve item number 2, the item number 3 purchase is to equip and install the snow removal equipment onto the particular truck, chassis, and cab. Item 4, services, $40,775.36 to Rotary Lift, and this is to purchase a portable lift for the mechanics. In order to ensure not only the long-lasting use of our fleet vehicles, obviously we have a very stringent maintenance system that we maintain the fleet, but also in order to defend any use of the township vehicle, we have to demonstrate that those vehicles are maintained on a routine basis. And so we have ample documentation that justifies and demonstrates that. In order to ensure these two things, the Service Department is engaged in a thorough and rigorous maintenance schedule consistent with manufacturer standards, of course. The proposed purchase will allow repairs to be absorbed internally with the capital and human resources that we have already applied to our maintenance division of the fleet mechanic. So the 2 mechanics plus whatever capital we've already purchased and have applied, those things would be absorbed by those sources and be able to provide the service even more efficiently.
I will entertain a motion for item 1 through 4.
I'll make the motion we approve items 1 through 4.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Ms. Boyko, item 5.
Item 5 for the board's consideration. This is currently a vacant position. You may recall with the recent restructuring of the Westchester Community Television and the Public Information Office to the Integrated Multimedia Marketing Department, this was one position that was reformatted from the events coordinator position to this public relations coordinator position. The pay scale, the pay range is exactly the same. The duties have been expanded to look more into the integrated multimedia mission of what the department was established. And this position, even though currently vacant and being filled, is part of the overall $70,000 cost reduction that was presented as part of that combined structural reorganization. So with that, it is Mrs. Barbara Wilson, our Director of Integrated Multimedia Marketing, to recommend the hiring of Madeline Moray to the position of Public Relations Coordinator. This will be effective tomorrow, July 10th, 2013, at the hourly rate of $14.64. This is the entry-level rate, with a 1-year probationary period and, of course, contingent upon the successful completion of applicable testing and procedures. Mrs. Wilson does apologize that the candidate was unable to attend this evening's meeting to introduce her to you all. This has been a very, very lengthy process, as you know, and unfortunately she had other demands for this evening and could not get out of them.
I will entertain a motion for item 5.
I move that we hire Madeline Murray to the position of Public Relations Coordinator effective July 10th, 2013, at the hourly rate of $14.64 as described by Mrs. Boyko.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Ms. Boyko, item 6.
Item 6, bringing for the board's consideration to approve the Westchester Township Communication Center work rules and regulations. As the board is aware, all of our union departments, I guess I should say heavily with the contract employees, have work rules and regulations. With the operations manager of the communication center hired about 18 months ago, promoted about 18 months ago, he has been working diligently with the contract employees, their representation, and then to develop these work rules and regulations. Requesting that the motion do include that these will be effective, or excuse me, does include, will be effective through March 31st of 2016. As the board, I am asking for that date because, as the board recalls, of all of your policies and procedures, work rules and regulations, you wanted a 3-year refresher adoption by this board, and so this effective date puts this in line with the current work rules and regulations of other departments.
All right. Entertain a motion for item 6.
I'll make the motion we approve item 6.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Item 7.
Item 7, requesting the board's consideration to approve the Westchester Township Integrated Multimedia and Marketing Policies and Procedures effective through March 31st, 2016. Again, this is a result of the consolidation of the Westchester TV Department and the Public Information Office previously, and presenting to you a more integrated policy and procedures that will govern all of our multimedia and marketing endeavors. The majority of these proposed policies and procedures have already been in place, previously adopted and implemented as part of the Westchester TV policy and procedures. So these have just been expanded. And what's included in this expansion are the introduction, social media, and the LED signage sections. So there's only 3 really pertinent sections that are new to our policy and procedures. Currently there are guidelines being utilized. We are active on Facebook. We are active on Twitter, and which demonstrates a outreach to the demographic and the profile consumer in Westchester that we're really trying to market our brand, and so which is very, very active on social media, as I'm sure you're aware with your children and that demographic. These have been reviewed by our law director, and there is always the threat. Definitely these are legally defensible, and the law director has opined as such, but there is always the threat that postings may reveal negative or be negative responses. The way it works is we will post on Facebook or tweet a particular newsworthy, and any comments that are accepted have to be pertinent to the initial posting. If they're not, these policies and procedures do regulate how we can remove those posts if they're not pertinent to the posting, but also affords the township the ability, if being abused, you can abandon the social media platform at any time that you would like to.
I assume that includes like abusive language.
Oh, yes,
for
certainly.
example.
Obscene or pornography.
Yes. And something as simply as if it's not referencing the post that was initiated.
Right.
So there are mechanisms to ensure that it's being used properly and not some outlet for improper posts or obscene, as you said, Trustee Lang. So requesting the board's consideration to adopt these policy and procedures, and again effective through March 31st of 2016.
I will entertain a motion for item 7.
I'll make the motion we approve item 7.
I'll second that.
Discussion?
Judy, as I read through it all, the only thing I was concerned about was when it came to LED signage, you actually specified how the LED signage would work, and then you said to be in compliance with Township zoning code. My only recommendation is we remove the specification and says it must be within compliance with the zoning code, because if this is new zoning board we have makes a recommendation, and I don't know, they're even looking at LED signage as part of their overview, but that way we won't have to adopt this. We'll just say it has to be consistent with the zoning code rather than making specifications.
Okay, certainly. Could you recall what page that's on, Trustee?
No, I can tell you I think it was about 11 or 12.
And I think that is more than yeah, I see it right there.
I can find it and call you with the exact details tomorrow if Lee and Kathy are okay with that modification.
I have it.
Is it appropriate one?
Is that concerning the flashing of the LED lights?
I think, no, mostly what the zoning code regulates is the amount of time that it can be on there. So if you're asking if we could just make it so it's consistent with whatever the zoning
Whatever
code,
the zoning is.
I think that's more than fair, and we can make that change.
Yeah. Oh, it starts on page 6.
But I'm looking for, it says just per zoning guidelines. Is that where you're on F?
Yeah, there's probably E and F. They may all be addressed, both E and F. So I think you just change it to say it must be, the usage of LED signage for the township must be consistent with the zoning regulations.
I think that's a wise approach. So if the motion can reference that amended or that suggested change, that would be great.
Yep. You want to amend did I make the motion or did Kathy?
I think you just suggested.
And I think she made the motion.
I think you made the motion,
seconded.
Kathy. Do you want to modify it?
No? Who made it? You can tell us.
George did.
George, you did make the motion.
Well, then
You want to
let me
modify
pull
your-
my motion and make the motion that we approve item 7 with one change being that we will change the LED signage so that it is consistent with whatever zoning allows at any point in time.
Okay. Do we have a
I'll
second?
second that for George's amended or revised, per George's most recent motion. Thank you.
Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Item 8.
Item 8, Community Development Department recommends to declare 5545 Dogwood Court as a public nuisance. You do have a sample motion on page 2 of your memorandum.
Someone want to read it? Oh.
I've got it, if you'd like. Having reviewed the staff report and affidavit, I move that we declare the property listed on the Westchester Township Board of Trustees meeting agenda dated July 9th, 2013, to be a public nuisance as authorized by the Ohio Revised Code. Staff is directed to cause removal of the nuisances identified and monitor the property for 90 days to require continued compliance. An administrative charge of 25% shall be added to the contractor fee for the property.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Boyko, first reading resolution.
This is just the reading for emergency resolution. This is emergency resolution number 10-2013. Consistent with the 2013 operational budget, this resolution demonstrates the transferring and demonstrates the commitment of the general fund to the infrastructure maintenance of the township. The transfers from the general fund to the road and bridge fund, as you know, annually about $1.5 million, or whatever the assigned cost for the pavement program is necessary, you have transferred to the road and bridge fund. Cemetery fund, you annually transfer about $200,000 to that fund in order to account for its operational costs. And the sustainable infrastructure fund, which is your long-term maintenance fund for capital infrastructure improvements, and that has been obviously presented to you as part of the operational budget. So at this time, requesting the board's consideration and for first reading, emergency resolution number 10-2013, authorizing the township fiscal officer to transfer funds from the general fund to the road and bridge fund and to the cemetery fund and to the sustainable infrastructure fund, and declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading. The resolution does contain in the chart exactly what those transfers amounts are.
All right. I will entertain a motion to declare resolution.
There will be no motion at this time.
Yeah, we do that after citizens' comments.
After
Item-
citizens' comments.
Any questions, clarification?
I have none.
Okay, move on. Item 10.
This time requesting the board consideration to approve emergency resolution number 11-2013, adopting the 2014 tax budget. As you are aware, you must you must approve by July 15th a tax budget for the upcoming year, and we must submit it to the Butler County Auditor's Office by July 20th of this year. And it is all required by statute. In addition to the board approving the tax budget, we're also requesting as part of this resolution to retitle the Cable Center Fund, which represented the Westchester TV, to the Multimedia Marketing Fund, and of course declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading. The fund name retitling represents more accurately the operations that you authorized with the organizational restructuring. So emergency resolution number 11-2013, adopting the 2014 tax budget and retitling the Cable Center Fund to the Multimedia Marketing Fund, and declaring an emergency and dispensing with the second reading.
Okay. Now I would entertain a motion to declare resolution number...
No.
Just questions and clarifications.
Just do the reading.
No motion.
Oh, next one. Next block is citizens' comment. Going once, going twice. Okay, second reading and vote on pending resolution and vote on emergency resolution.
These would be your votes on the emergency resolution. First,
Right.
taking number 10-2013,
Yes.
declaring it.
I will entertain a motion to declare resolution number 10-2013 an emergency and dispense with the second reading.
Also move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve resolution number also 10-13, 10-2013 as read and as already declared an emergency.
Also move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to declare resolution number 11-2013 an emergency and dispense with the second reading.
Also move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
I will entertain a motion to approve resolution number 11-2013 as read and as already declared as an emergency.
Also move.
I'll second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Next is discussion items and trustee comments. Judy?
Yes, I have two very briefly and very quickly to present to you. The Wildermuth property, and this is a relationship with the Butler County Water and Sewer Department that the township staff has been engaged. Late February of this year, the Mill Creek Watershed District and the Butler County Water and Sewer Department approached the township interested in utilizing township-owned property, the Wildermuth property, and utilizing it for leverage in order to apply for an Ohio EPA 319 grant. Ohio EPA 319 grant basically administers improvements to the Mill Creek and part of its stream and part of its riparian improvements. The Wildermuth property is along Windish Road, the east side of Windish Road, which is directly adjacent to the creek, and on the other side as part of some of the commercial development that's across from where Dell was previously located. So it gives you kind of a vicinity of Windish Road. The project and the reasons for the Water and Sewer Department applying for the grant is basically a stream restoration project. The project is to restore the segment of the Mill Creek and improve the floodplain and also the east side of the bank to enhance riparian embankments and habitats. The project, according to the Water and Sewer Department, will reduce non-point source pollution, decrease the potential for stream bank erosion, and improve water quality and riparian habitats. And I think the foremost reason the Butler County Water and Sewer Department is interested in this property is because downstream it has a treatment plant. And these improvements will significantly enhance their ability to remedy the treatment at that plant. So there's a very functional purpose for their need for this riparian improvement. My discussions with the trustees have indicated that the township would support the request if the use and the maintenance of the property would be at no cost to the township, and that there would be we would codify that no cost to the township through some form of a maintenance agreement. Staff has been working with the Butler County Department, Water and Sewer Department staff, and currently we have collectively developed a maintenance agreement that is currently with the township's law director and the county prosecutor. So I do not have a fully formatted document to present to you at this time, but it is the hope that we would be able to remedy any conflicts of opinions and have that document for your review and approval at your July 23rd meeting. So wanted to engage you in that conversation, see if there is still interest to continue to work with them on this matter, and if so, would you be willing to entertain approving a maintenance agreement at your July 23rd meeting?
I have no concerns. Obviously, the devil will be in the details when we get the document, but at this point, I have no concerns.
Likewise.
Yeah. You had me at Butler County maintaining property we own.
So my understanding, if I cannot get you a proposed document within at least a week prior to the meeting, then would it be the preference to wait to a later meeting, or?
That would be my preference.
Okay.
A week is plenty of time for us to review it.
Okay. So I will definitely try to meet that schedule. Not sure if we will be able to, but I will. If I can, I will, and then it will be scheduled for the 23rd. On another note, but related, i.e. Water and Sewer Department, you may recall at your June 25th meeting, Trustee Lang had introduced and suggested that we, and the full board directed staff to look at opportunities to better understand the current water rate structure at Butler County Water and Sewer Department. So based on that direction unanimously from the board, I did meet with the Butler County Administrator and the Director of the Butler County Water and Sewer Department, and fully engaged in some information gathering, wanted to be able to better understand the operational costs, anything that's allocated for obviously infrastructure, capital maintenance, capital improvements, but also the structure of the water rates. And I think it's a very complex issue, and I think it's in the best interest of the community, and I believe the Board of Trustees, to entertain representatives from the county to come and speak to you directly about these issues and these costs, and would suggest that we conduct a work session with those representatives, and would offer your next meeting, before your next meeting, July 23rd at 5 p.m., if that's convenient.
That
Works for me.
It's fine. Is that open to the public?
Yes,
Yes.
certainly is. Yeah, it would be a work session of the board.
Although probably not open to comments.
Correct.
Okay.
That would be the pleasure of the board if you want to accept any comments or conversation. Okay, well then, if that's good, I will confirm with with the county. I did suggest to them, can you keep that tentative until I can talk to you all? And they said that they are available, so it looks like that can happen. So we'll get that scheduled and publicly notice accordingly. The last item I have then is Beckett Park, and its development relationship to the 10 acres that's privately owned and that's adjacent to and surrounded by portions of Beckett Park on the east side of Beckett, the east side, what we've referred to as Beckett Park East. In August of 2012, the Lakota YMCA represented to the township that they had interest and had contracted to purchase this 10-acre tract that's privately owned and again that's surrounded by the Beckett Park. This 10-acre tract is also basically duly west of the Westchester Baseball Complex, and the Lakota YMCA since that time have been interested in constructing a new YMCA facility for the Lakota YMCA system. And the facility is currently proposed 100,000 square feet of indoor and outdoor recreational space. So this is the entire development bubble of the 10-acre tract, indoor and outdoor recreational amenities, which would include an indoor and outdoor pools, I should say, gym, workout facilities, meeting rooms, and a daycare facility. And in order to effectuate a sustainable project, the Y needs access to the full movement at the Westchester Baseball Complex, which I think in the map is highlighted in the yellow. So Union Center is at the bottom of the map, illustrated, and then obviously everything east or to the right of the YMCA site is Beckett Park. And the interest is to acquire an easement from the full movement cut that serves the baseball complex. And the proposed outline of the easement would be what you see in the yellow. Because Beckett Park is restricted to the National Park Service's development covenants, and in order to grant any type of easement, this board must request the National Park Service to grant that easement. It must have approval from the National Park Service. As the board is aware, we've been engaged with the National Park Service for the last several months, and we have received a preliminary approval from the National Park Service, which is contingent upon two things. One, that if the Lakota, if a YMCA is ever to dissolve or would be redeveloped, then the easement would go away, would be negated. So the easement is only granted conditionally to a Lakota, a YMCA. The second condition that the National Park Service has placed, it says that in return and in exchange, the YMCA must grant recreational use to the township for township's use as well. And that's what's highlighted in kind of the red-orange at the top of the Lakota YMCA site. That recreational use means, or easement for recreational use basically means that we would have to organize and coordinate schedules with the YMCA, because this would just be open multi-purpose field space. It would not be scheduled for games. It would not be scheduled for practices. It would just be first come, first serve. Anybody can come, which is how Beckett Park is currently being used, those fields that are adjacent to the baseball complex parking lot. That's just open space fields, multi-purpose. At any given time, anybody can access those. They're not scheduled. They're not granted any rights or reserve time. It's just open recreational use. So I wanted to bring this. The YMCA has submitted a major change to the Beckett Ridge Plan Unit development. It does require a series of public hearings in order to allow a YMCA to be constructed on this, because it's part of a PUD. And this major change first goes to the county's planning commission. July 15th would be the Westchester Zoning Commission hearing date, and then some subsequent hearing date would be scheduled for this Board of Trustees as well. So I wanted to share this update with the Board of Trustees, understanding that should it go through the zoning process successfully and the board is not adverse to this development as a neighbor, you would at some point need to direct me to request from the National Park Service this easement. They would place whatever conditions and then allow me to record that easement once National Park Service approval has been granted, thinking that probably within the next 30 to 45 days, somewhere in that range, we'll be back to you for that action item.
Are you requesting from us at this time a direction to request the easement?
No, I would like to have that as a
informational.
formal agenda item. I would like to know, though, if there's anyone that's objecting to or would be adverse to that action item coming to you subsequently for a request.
No objection. Move forward. We've been talking about this for a long time.
You spoke of 100,000 square foot. Is that undercover?
It's a total development
Building
build-out,
size.
under indoor and outdoor.
Does the national park help us to maintain the property?
Oh, no.
Or they
No,
give us a lot of regulations?
No, we're just very grateful that they gave us the VOA property.
Yes.
I have no objections.
Yes, move on.
And then the one other last item is that with this full movement access, with the Lakota YMCA's development, it would more than likely warrant a traffic light. So that's a major
be an
incentive for the
advantage.
township, because that is a highly used intersection when the baseball complex is actively used, and it would just create better access and better access management if that was lighted. So I'm pleased to report that too.
Okay. All right. Trustee comments. Mr. Lane?
I have nothing.
Just a couple of things. We've had a lot of fun with this point counterpoint over bike paths and the maps, and although it was a lot of fun, I could almost hear the people out in the audience saying, "Oh, there they go again." Yep. But I thought it would be very helpful, and I asked Judy to ask staff to please prepare a map for us where it clearly delineates our bike paths and maybe color code them as to whether or not they're funded by public or private funds. I thought that might be helpful. So no matter what the my map said or the Inquirer's map said, we could start out with something that I think we could all agree was accurate.
That's a good idea.
And I'm sure we'll find that we both have things that we are...
I think part of that work has already started, Judy, in our comprehensive land plan. We have a page in there that shows bike paths, bike routes. So I think most of the work is probably already done.
Let's clarify that. What is a bike path, a sidewalk, a bike lane? I think a lot of people got this mixed up. There are differences in that.
Yeah, a bike lane is merely a road with a wide shoulder where you're sharing it with the automobiles, whereas a bike path is a separate from the road, so that families, particularly if they're biking with their children, can feel more secure biking because they aren't so close to the cars. It's a very unfortunate. Now, you bike a lot. Way back when dinosaurs still roamed the earth, I used to do a lot of bike riding, and it's an unfortunate fact that a very small percentage of automobile drivers either don't see you at all, or they think it's great fun to see how close they can come to you. And families with children who want to just go out for a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon bike ride feel much safer on a bike path than they do on a bike lane or a bike route, which is basically just a township street.
Yes. I have no problem with that.
But at least that way we can all maybe start out from something we...
No, I agree with your statement. Matter of fact, I would encourage families with small children do not get in the bike lanes. That's not what they're designed for.
No, you're correct.
And in subdivision, you have sidewalk. So.
I had one issue also. You have heard me frequently make the statement that TIF funds cannot be used for police department daily operations, and I need to clarify that. To begin with, I have a philosophical opinion that I hold very strongly that in the case of our funded services, services which are funded by levies, our fire and emergency medical, and our police department, I firmly believe that our budget is given to us by the voters, and that it is up to us to provide the services as efficiently as we can to our community using that the funding we get through our levies as our budget. I think it is inappropriate to loan money to those funds for day-to-day foreseeable operations. The reason why is they don't really have the wherewithal to repay those funds, and it becomes a downward spiral. And I'm sure you can see the logic behind that. Now, that is not to say that if we had an unforeseeable disaster hit the township, I would certainly consider providing some subsidy from the general fund to our emergency responders. I mean, stuff happens. I mean, it just without expectation. But as far as borrowing money to fund a day-to-day operations, I cannot see the advantage to that. In fact, I think it's a poor step to make. I think we must live within our budgets. Having said that, the law does allow TIF money to be, in effect, loaned to an emergency service for operations. But like I say, it is my belief it must be repaid to the TIF before the TIF matures. But like I say, when I say we can't use TIF for operations, it's basically because I think it's a very, very poor idea. We cannot just take TIF money and give it for operations. There is that ability under the law to loan it, but I think that's an extremely poor avenue to go down. So I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, if I can address that before you go on to your next
Sure.
point. There are some circumstances where I would consider a loan to the either police or fire funds from the general fund, and that is if a levy is passed and it's going to be a year before we collect the money, but they
Right.
know they're going to have the revenue,
Yeah.
and they need short-term loans so that there's not devastation within the police or fire department. I would consider that under that circumstance. And the other thing, if we don't spend money that's in the TIF, it ends up going into the township's general fund.
We don't know that.
Well, they just made some modifications to the TIF
the
that
key
were voted on and approved.
point about it is the key is I think each department must live within the means of the budget.
That's
That
my personal
to go
belief.
out to borrow money from another fund, that's not a good idea unless it is emergency or a carryover to, when the levy is passed.
I think we're all in agreement.
We're talking about a
Okay.
bridge.
I think we're all in agreement.
And the other thing I had to say was, let's see now. Good news is everybody who has read the paper or watched the news knows that on Monday, the KB Hotel Group broke ground on a brand new Hilton Hotel. It's at the corner of Schultze and Mulhauser. Coming to Westchester in the next year or so, we'll be opening with a full-service restaurant, swimming pool, workout facility, as well as a conference center and ballroom that'll hold as many as 300 people. This is great news for a couple of reasons. Number one, the direct funding we get from hotels. Last year, as you're aware, Westchester received almost $800,000 in hotel room taxes, and an equal amount also went to the Butler County Visitors Bureau from our hotels, number one. Number two, those hotels provide an amenity which is very important to many of our businesses. AK Steel, for example, GE, many of these companies, Amlin, they have people coming in and out all the time. They need good quality hotels that are close by their facilities here. So this is more, for Westchester Township, more growth of good quality. And then again, we also had just recently Westchester Hospital announced they are going to be soon breaking ground on a whole new patient tower, which will bring it up to a 300-bed hospital. It's a $135 million project. Lots and lots of jobs coming in. Lots more, I believe, incentive for more businesses in the medical fields to come and establish a presence here in Westchester. So all good news.
All good news.
Yep.
Very good. Last Saturday, rainy day, I thought, well, I'm going to go out to a restaurant to eat the Twin Dragon. Wow, there was a 排队. In Chinese means queue up. There was lines out the door. Business is good. I want to bring out one point here. Residents approached me, make a comment about the Beckett part on that map west of the Morehouse barn on the side of the fire department. That 90-degree turn there. Maybe it's the angle of it. I know what the purpose of that, why we did it such a way. But the tall grass and all the rain, it make it very ugly. It's always, from the roadside, look at it, he's right, that it doesn't look nice, that park. Looks very raggedy. I wonder if the board will approve, consider we mow that area.
Well, I think the intent for that part of the park was to have a wildflower establishment. And, of course, wildflowers can look pretty unkempt and raggedy. If there's a line of sight issue, we could certainly mow back or trim back as needed. The one issue I have with the Beckett Parks as far as maintenance go, it's kind of along the same line, is it happens when new plantings go in. Some of the trees and shrubs didn't make it, and we probably should take out any dead ones. I'm not sure we need to replace them, but we certainly don't need to have the dead trees and bushes sitting there. They can just be yanked out of the ground. They're only just recently
those
planted.
wild grass, some of them are wild weeds and creates quite a lot of allergies too. I wonder, just mold it over and grass.
Certainly, at the board's direction, we can reevaluate the habitats of Beckett Park. But just to refresh your memory, we did design that park so that it would not be significant maintenance costs for our maintenance
Staff.
Well, not the staff, but that we would. The entire development of the park was to plant the indigenous and to create different pods so that there would be limited maintenance to that park. And the wildflowers is an integral part of that maintenance plan. We did not want to, with direction from the board, we obviously did not want to develop a park that was going to be so highly intensive maintenance requirement that it would exceed the sustainability of the park from a cost perspective. And so when it was designed, it was a very cognizant and a very deliberate decision to make a lot of it with the wildflowers. That coupled with maintenance, reduced maintenance costs, coupled with I believe that the way it was designed, that the way the wetlands or the ponds interact with those wild indigenous plants is consistent with they partner, they work together in terms of reclaiming and sifting some of the erosion parts. So we would have to evaluate it before I could tell you that we could just go in and mow it. We do
walkway.
There's a mowed walkway throughout the wildflower, and then there is no sight distance issues because we do mow right along the roadway at the curve. So there is no sight distance issues regarding that. And to your point about the trees, the best time to plant trees are in the fall, and so we have not addressed those decaying trees is because we can't plant them until the fall. So that certainly will happen in the fall.
Yeah, I can see your point, but I kind of like the contrast between the highly groomed area around the Mulhauser barn and right across the way there's a sort of what I call walk on the wildflower side area. And it really is for a family that wanted to wander through, and there's a mowed path to make it easy to walk through. You can take your little book, you take your Audubon book, you can take your wildflower book, and you can just find everything there. And I think it's kind of attractive. It's different, but it's sort of
that's a perfect example of the beauties in the eye of the beholder. So we do have people that call and say they love the wildflower.
And people say just keep it simple, mow it, and they can have picnic out there. Well, fine.
There was one other thing. On July 20th, we have our annual running of the cardboard regatta at the Voice of America Lake. I don't know if anybody here has ever participated. It's a heck of a lot of fun. This is where people build boats out of cardboard and then climb in them and race them around the Voice of America Lake. The amazing thing to me is probably only about 25 or 30% of them seem to sink. Of course, they aren't good for much once they haul them out. But it's a heck of a lot of fun on a hot day. It's free. When we first started this, we've been doing this annually for quite a few years. The first year we started it, I've been working on the committee each year, and Susan Stretch with Metro Parks was in charge of it, and she called us all together and she gave us a very stern lecture that under no circumstances could Metro Parks lose any money by this, because if they did, she was going to get fired. So the other thing was we couldn't figure out, was anybody going to do something so silly as to build a boat and then climb in it and race it made out of paper? So our goals for that first year were, number one, not to lose any money, so Susan would keep her job. Number two, to have at least 4 boats show up so we could actually have a race. And number 3, nobody should drown. Well, each son of a gun, and we didn't know how many boats we were going to get till literally the morning of the event. Over 24 boats showed up. And this event has exceeded our expectations every year. Mr. Lang, Mr. Wong are among our celebrity starters this year. It's just a heck of a lot of fun on a hot day to come down. There's so much creativity involved in making these boats. And I have to tell you, the people having the most fun are the ones in the boats, as they're going down. Striving, as we like to say, for the coveted Titanic Award, which we give to that boat with the most spectacular sinking. So nobody's crying when they're going down. They're waving flags and they're putting up a big show for the fans. It's a lot of fun. Again, July 20th, it's free. Metro Parks, Voice of America Lake, come early, get a good parking place, and just see the fun.
Very good.
I would just like to add to that, it is a lot of fun. Ms. Stoker does get a lot of credit. I know you're one of the leaders in doing that, and you've been so for years. And they've really built it into something that has a major impact with people in our community. The crowds are huge. It might be a good idea if the 3 of us build a boat and get in it and see if we can row in unison.
And we always have a bunch of ringers come in out of Indiana. They're really well built. They've been doing this for apparently decades. Of these kayaks, They win all the speed awards, but I have to tell you, it's the local people who get the spirit awards. They get all decked out in costumes and makeup, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun.
All right. I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Also move.
I'll second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Wong?
Yes.
Mrs. Stoker?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.